Well, this is the SJ8 Plus from the well-known company SJCam. It's the middle of three in the SJ8 range. You've got the Air, which is the very budget one, you've got the Plus, and you've got the Pro. But before I go into detail about the differences, let's see what else you get in the box. You've got a USB lead here, and incidentally this is USB-C. You've got a lens cleaning cloth. You've got a little leaflet, stroke manual, Chinese and English, which appears to be very good. Although, as this is a touchscreen camera, I think mostly given 10 minutes you'd probably work out how to use it without a manual. First off, let me say SJCam aren't one of these fly-by-night clone companies. They've been around for a good few years producing quality cameras. There are reviews of quite a few of their cameras on my channel, and they've all been very good cameras. You can also rely on getting good support, firmware updates and so on. So I mentioned this is one of a range of three. They've all got different specs. Major difference between this and the SJ7, which it kind of replaces, is both of these shoot native 4K. Major difference is this offers EIS, that's gyro stabilization, in 4K, whereas the SJ7 Star only has EIS up to 1080-60 resolution. The SJ7, in fact, is one of my favourite cameras. Looking at the cases, you can see an obvious difference here. The 7's got this lovely aluminium case which acts as a heatsink, whereas the 8 series have got a kind of a rubberized finish which actually does feel safer in the hand. I'll put that down for now. Oh, incidentally, there's also a slightly different user interface with a bit more detail on it. And finally, as far as the weight goes of the SJ8 Plus, if you're into flying FPV and putting cameras on quadcopters and so on, SJ8 Plus 86.69 grams compared to the, I'm surprised, the SJ7 was actually 78, so that was actually a bit lighter. 10 grams, not that significant I suppose. So, closer look at the camera. You've got a 170 degree wide angle lens here. The other thing you'll notice is it's got two displays, one on the front here and colour screen on the back. You've got a little cover here which covers up the USB-C, microphone here, speaker on here, shutter release on here, tripod mount screw in the base, and power switch on this side. It's a question of press for 2 or 3 seconds. The other notables, battery is in here and the SD card slots in there as opposed to in the end on the SJ7. You'll also notice the SJ7 had a ordinary micro USB and an HDMI out. On the subject of cards, for 4K you will need a decent high-speed microcard. Class 10, it's a bit tricky getting this in unless you've got long fingernails, which I haven't because I've chopped the end of that thumb off with a model aircraft. But if I get that out, I'll show you. I'm using actually here Samsung Evo Plus 64 gig. They suggest 32 gig is okay, and some 64 and 128 gig cards, because cameras can be quite fussy about cards. But as I say, this one works fine. While I've got this open, I would also mention that, yeah, you just can't quite. I would also mention that battery size is different to the SJ7, as is the camera case. Oh, incidentally, batteries go in those 3 little tags there, on the 3 tags there. The other thing about the battery, it's easy to see when it's charging and when it's fully charged because there's a decent display on the screen at the back. The other thing I'd mention is this is actually slightly longer, which means it won't fit into the SJ7 case, and the majority of action cameras are actually just that tiny fraction smaller. On the subject of cases, I mentioned it comes in 3 modes: budget, middle, which is the Plus, and the Pro. Major difference with the Pro, in fact, is it does 4K with gyro stabilization, but at 60 frames a second, whereas this only goes up to 30 frames a second. Now, I could go into all the specs of all of them. They've all got different sensors and different chips, but I'll list it because it will take forever to do it otherwise. But those are the major differences between the Air. Doesn't have EIS and only shoots 1080 at 30, 1080 at 60, or 1080 at 120 plus EIS. The other major difference, or the other thing to bear in mind, is you can either buy this in what they call small box, which means you get it as shown here with just the camera, USB charging lead, lens cloth and so on, or you can buy it big box, which means you get all the accessories. Now, not everybody will want all the accessories. If you've already got an action camera and are maybe just replacing one that you've broken or want a second, you will already have mounts and brackets and so on, and all you'll need is a waterproof case. So you could just buy the camera in small box and a case for £12 or so. That could save you some money. What else can I say about this? There's a Wi-Fi app, which I'll show you later. It's just a question of scanning the QR code and installing it on your iOS or Android phone. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera. You turn on by 2 or 3 second press of the camera, and as you can see here, well, you can select what it opens in, but it's selected to open in last mode used. So if you last used it in stills, it will open in stills. I last used it in video, so it's in video mode. Little icons here. This actually shows more information than the old SJ7 did. You've got battery state. It's showing that you've got audio on. Recording time on the card. 7 hours. Wow, 1080/60. 7 hours on a 60 gig card. I'm in video mode. That's playback. Actually shows you which video mode you're in. Tells you you're in video there with the ISO, that's the film speed, on auto. You've got 2 settings menus here. You've got, and it's also telling you you're in wide dynamic range is turned off. Another thing to note is you've got digital zoom on this. I'll demo the digital zoom in my test clips, and you do lose quality when you digitally zoom because it's not an optical zoom, so basically you're just zooming in on a small part of the sensor, but it does mean you can zoom in. I think it's 12 times digital zoom. And the other thing to note is digital zoom only works in certain video formats. Now, operation of this is just so dead simple. As I say, you could pick it up in 10 minutes. Stroke down, you've got a menu here. Turn the Wi-Fi on and off. It will work with the remote control, which is an optional extra. It's got a little picture of a drone and says TV out. Obviously that turns on the TV out for the USB-C, and LCD off, so turn the screen off. Swipe it up and you've got rid of that. Touch the screen and you turn the on-screen display on or off. Now if I swipe up, you're into mode menu, which is straightforward enough. I don't really need to explain it, but you've got video lapse, which is time lapse, slow record. I've put some slow motion test in the clips, stills mode, and once you go into stills mode it tells you 12 megapixel stills, capacity 19,000 stills at 12 megapixel. You've also got digital zoom in stills mode, exposure time auto, film speed auto, and so on. You can either swipe to change from stills to video, or you can use that one. So video lapse, photo lapse is a series of photos. Burst mode will shoot a series of pictures. Don't know if you heard that, it's doing 3 shots. You've got video plus photo, which means while the video is running it will also be taking a series of pictures. Car mode, which will actually turn it on automatically when you power up if you want to use it for a dash cam. Underwater mode, which as far as I've tested before changes the color temperature. So that kill that menu like that. Now you've got settings menu here. Sorry if I'm rushing through these, but it's pretty straightforward. You can just scroll through and see what you've got. Language, fast boot, date time, which you can turn on and off. Format the card. Cloud control, I think, is something to do with the SJCam gimbal. TV mode, depending which region you're in. Fast record, quick capture. Quick capture means it will start recording as soon as you power up. Front display on or off. ISO information on the screen. Exposure time info. Wide dynamic range, auto power off, that is when the thing will shut down if it's not used. Keypad tones, LCD brightness, screensavers, Wi-Fi mode, and firmware version. Always worth checking to see what firmware you've got and going onto the website and updating the firmware, but read the instructions carefully. So that's one settings menu. Now you've got this that was one settings menu, that's that one. Now you've got settings menu here too, which actually goes into more detail, like in burst photos you can change from 3 to 5 to 10 photos in a burst. I'll just demo that. I'm in burst mode now, you should hear it go. In fact, you can't hear anything at all, but it's actually taking 10 photos in one hit. I'm going to come out of that and go back to video. So if I'm in video mode, it's coming up with all the options for video. Now, I had problems with H.265. Some players don't like it, some edit suites don't like it. Apparently it gives you better quality with a lower bitrate, but personally I'd stick with H.264 unless you are confident you can edit and have a player that will handle 265. Loop recording is if you want to use it for dashcam, and the way you change, as you can see here, I'm hoping you can see, is rather than scroll and touch that, you actually scroll up to where you want, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I'll put it on off. You can change field of view from wide to middle to narrow. I've demoed that as well in the test clips, but you are basically using just the smaller part of the sensor, so again you will lose quality. And it also says here digital zoom's not supported when you're using FOV. This is another thing about the user interface on this. When you go into various menus, it actually tells you, for example here with the EIS or gyro sensor, 1080 120 frames a second and 720 240 does not support anti-shake, as they call it. Plus, on anti-shake mode you can't use the digital zoom. So to turn the EIS on or off, scroll it up and down like so, and you can see it's turned on. Audio on or off, volume, change timestamp on or off, change the bit rate. That supposedly should change the quality. Higher bit rate usually means better quality video. Sharpness, saturation, contrast, metering. I tend to prefer average, but that's down to you. So that covers that. You've also got, oh, incidentally now, because the EIS is on, perhaps you can see that little thing flickering there. That shows that the EIS or anti-shake or gyro stabilization, whatever you want to call it, is on. I might do a test clip. So I think that pretty much covers the camera. Oh, I didn't actually show you what the front display is showing. Oh, the other thing to mention is when you're recording, which is nice to see, you've got plenty of indication on the camera by lights flashing that it's actually working. So blue light flashing there, blue light flashing there, little blob there, and on the back, of course, you can see that little dot, but mostly you can tell when this is recording. Now, not every camera has that. It's also giving you a countdown there, length of the video or duration of the video. So short press, turn it off. And as you can see, that's that. Sorry I had to race through that at lightning speed, but it would be impossible to go through every single setting on every single menu item, particularly the video resolutions and the camera settings. But you can check out the full specs in the comments or website links below. Just turn it off now with a 2 or 3 second press. Let's have a quick look at the Wi-Fi app. So the Wi-Fi app, well, first off, I use a free QR code scanner. Easy, just scan the code there and install. I'm not going to go into installing here. Turn the Wi-Fi on the camera, which as you saw is pretty straightforward. Scroll down, Wi-Fi, and it actually tells you there what the password is, 1234. And can you see that? Maybe not. 12345678. And also shows there that it's looking for a Wi-Fi. Turn the Wi-Fi on my phone. Settings, SJ8 Plus, there it is. Connect. As I mentioned, I've already installed this. It's going to pop up and say, do I really want to connect? Yeah, do I want to connect? Yes, please. Yes. And then into the app. So what can you do with it? That's the opening screen. Press camera, connecting, and as you can see, there's my ugly mug looking at the camera. Whoa, don't I look a mess? So as you can see, not much lag. That's the time difference between the video output and the camera. You do need a phone with a quad-core or plus processor to work these kind of things. So what can you do? You can stop-start recording remotely, which means if you wanted to record some wildlife somewhere, you could put the camera in a bird's nest, monitor it, and bing, press, and you can see it's flashing. It started recording. It's doing a countdown. Stop. It's telling me that I'm in 1080-60. You can also go into settings here. By pressing the settings, do pretty much most of the things that you can do on the settings on the camera. Turn the date stamp off, turn the audio on or off, wide dynamic range, video lapse, photo settings, so on and so forth. Come out of that. Telling me the battery state. Change from video to photo. Photo lapse, short video, photo. Put it on photo. So obviously press that, click take a still, touch that again, back into video. Plus you can also check out your amazing. I mentioned it had taken some burst photos. As you can see, there were burst photos there. A series of burst photos and pictures that I'd taken the other day, which are in my test clips. Now of course you can download these to your tablet or phone as you desire. And if you were out doing an action sport somewhere, kayaking, with it in a waterproof case, you had a waterproof tablet, you could actually stop by the side of the river there and check out the video, check out your amazing action videos. So all kinds of useful things you can do with the Wi-Fi app. Now you could view these on your camera or phone, but better still, if you plug into your computer, it will be recognised as external storage and you can download to the computer and edit or view on that. To come out of the Wi-Fi app, you could just exit, turn off the Wi-Fi there, whatever you want to do. I should think, scroll down on this, turn the Wi-Fi off. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say about this. Sorry I had to race through that at lightning speed, but it would be impossible to go through every single setting on every single menu item, particularly the video resolutions and the camera settings. But you can check out the full specs in the comments or website links below. But I hope this has been useful. If you have found it useful, maybe you'd like to click a like and maybe even subscribe, because there are actually 51 action camera tests, well 52 now, on my YouTube channel. A lot of SJCams, including the 7 Star, the M20, all very good cameras, and the Air is also on my channel. Haven't had my hands on a Pro yet. Right, so let's get on with the test clips, and thanks again for watching. Right, this is 1080-60 with the EIS gyro stabilization on, and let's see how it is into the sun. And here's the same thing at 4K 30 frames a second, and gyro is on. And now this is the 4K clip of the same thing. See how good the definition is at the end of the pier. Now you can change the field of view with this, which presumably means you lose some quality, and again you can only do this with the gyro turned off. So this is wide field of view. This is middle field of view. And this is narrow field of view. And this is the digital zoom. You will of course lose quality with the digital zoom, but quite a big range of zoom there. And EIS doesn't work, or rather the digital zoom won't work when the EIS is on. Well, a pretty gloomy day here, no sunshine, but this is just the effect of walking along, one with a gyro, one without, and this is what it's like when you're running with it. If I really swing it around, you can see this is the SJ8 with gyro on, and this is the SJ7 4K, and there isn't a gyro. It makes a lot of difference. So I think it's most effective when you shake vigorously, like so. So that, I think, is enough of a demo of the gyro, but you can imagine if you were riding on a mountain bike or something, that would make a lot of difference to the quality of the video.